So you're looking to focus. Maybe you feel like you just can't focus all your energy on one thing because your mind is just going nuts and is climbing up the wall trying to figure out a way to get you out of whatever you are doing, and all you want to do is get that done, right? And for me, right, there was a lot of times where I actually when I was transitioning from my telecommunications job to my programming job, where I had to learn how to focus a lot better than I did. And the reasoning for that is coming from a labor job, my focus was very limited. And then going into a programming job where it was demanding on the brain and I had to actually focus a lot better, right? And so some of the tips I found that actually helped me, I want to share with you guys. And you know, there are a lot of basic tips that can help you, right? But they do help a lot. And one of the first things I've actually learned, right? And I thought this was something that was, you know, completely not going to work, because I was like, well, how would this even work? This is just something else that would distract me, right? But the first thing I actually did was I actually started listening to music when I would work. And this would help me a lot. Now, I wouldn't just listen to any music, right? Because specific music, right? If you listen to music that has lyrics in it, you find that you get distracted, right? And you start listening to the words, and then sometimes you just start singing, and you know, you get carried away, and then 20 minutes passes by and you've gone through like 20 songs, 20 of your favorite songs. So the biggest thing here to actually remember is to actually, you know, pick a song that doesn't have lyrics in it, right? And it could be anything from, you know, classical just to acoustics, you know, whatever it is. But I myself have actually found that I listen to classical music because not only does it actually help you focus, but there's research to show that it improves your performance, right? And I didn't think this was possible, right? But I actually started listening to classical music every time I worked, and actually found it does, you know, it boosts your focus, and it actually helps you, you know, concentrate better. It helps you, you know, perform better, right? And it has been proven, like there are many times where, you know, I felt like I was getting too distracted, so I put on music and it would help, right? It drowns out that background noise, allows you to focus on what you should be focusing on. Now, the second one I actually have is a simple one that I've always kind of, you know, implemented, but didn't really think about, right? And that is because I like to keep my workspace clear, right? You don't want to have a lot of little things that can distract you. And you'll find that, like, if you have a big thing would be like a calendar, right? If you have a calendar on your desk, how many times you actually look at that calendar? Because a lot of people, you know, if they get distracted, their mind starts to wander, and they look at the calendar like, oh, well, what do I got going on today? What do I got going on tomorrow? Remove the calendar, right? A lot of these little things, there might be little things that distract you. And I know a lot of people like to have stuff in their desk, and that's great because they want to stare at something. They don't want to just stare at a blank wall or whatever. But the truth of the matter is you want to eliminate that stuff, right? You want to make sure your focus is where it needs to be and not on little things that tend to distract you, right? So make sure your workspace is as clean as possible. Now, the other thing I want to actually talk to you guys about is to understand that you want to, you know, have a good eating habits, right? Now, this is kind of random, but you actually notice that if you are eating a healthy diet, right? A healthy diet can actually improve your focus dramatically. And this is, you know, from eating a lot of, you know, blueberries to eating, you know, a lot of leafy greens, some nuts, and these kind of things, they actually improve your focus, right? They help your brain. And this is ultimately what people are finding out, is that your gut health, you know, plays a lot of importance to your mental health, right? And people are finding this out. New research is coming out, and something I highly advise that you guys, you know, try to incorporate more of these things into your diet, and you'll notice that your brain becomes sharper, right? You become a lot more focused when your diet is actually on par. So one thing that I was doing at a subconscious level that I really didn't pay any attention to until I read that book, Eat That Frog, and actually helped me bring clarity as into, you know, my thought process and how I attack things, right? Was to understand that any big endeavor that you're going on, right? Or any big project, whatever it is, that you actually want to chunk it down, right, into smaller tasks. Now, the easiest way to understand this is, you have that big goal, right? Whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. Now, looking at that big goal, you can get unmotivated, you can get distracted, you can get unfocused. And that is because it just seems so out of reach, right? Because depending on what it is, it can be a really large goal and it can, again, seem overwhelming. But if you chunk it down into smaller tasks, that helps you focus, right? It helps you execute. It helps you on a daily basis, do the smaller things that will add up to that big thing, because a lot of these bigger ideas, bigger goals, they take time anyway. And so if you can do that, right, it doesn't seem so overwhelming. You can focus more on those smaller tasks. And, it's just overall just trying to, block that time, right, is ultimately what you're trying to do, because our attention isn't very long. And if you can block it into smaller tasks, that will help you, become more focused. So one of the biggest things I've actually found that have helped me, when I'm having a conversation with somebody or I am trying to learn something new, is to actually look at it or try to understand it in a way that you can, teach it to somebody. And this is the same during even a conversation. If somebody's telling you something, try to paraphrase what they're saying, right? And you want to ultimately do this, right? You want to pay attention and actually listen to what they're doing. You want to focus. But you notice that when you take that perspective to it, right, that it actually helps you focus better, because you realize that at the end of it, you're going to have to either paraphrase it or you're going to have to teach it, right? And so this is something that's important that can really help you focus. Now, one of the hardest things to do when you are trying to focus is that your body gets antsy, right? And just your whole system in general gets antsy. And the best thing to actually help you do this is if you can move, right? If you are, trying to learn something, don't just sit in one spot. Actually try to move around, right? And you'll find this helps you distract your body enough to where your mind can focus a lot better. Now this goes like even to the music, right? When I was talking about the music, this is something I didn't think would really help me, but when I was moving more, right, I've actually found I can focus better, right? Because you are more concentrated on the thing, and our moving around is a subconscious thing, right? So we don't have to think about it, but when we're moving around, it helps us, distract our mind, while also help us focus in on what we're trying to learn, right? And so this is extremely important. So if you can move around, like if you are trying to study something, just walk around with a book, especially, you notice this when you're prepping for a speech or something, right? You tend to do this a lot. I know for myself, I walk around a lot. I walk and I talk, right? And this is something that helps me focus in on what I'm saying, and it just gives you that a little bit of distraction. That way you can focus and you're not just sitting in one spot. And it helps you memorize stuff a little bit better as well, right? When you're walking around, because you're again moving and you are allowing the body and mind connection to establish themselves, right? So it does help you focus a lot. So if you can at all, just make sure that you are moving while you're learning. So if you guys enjoyed this video, smash that like button. And until next time, I will see you guys later.